first virtual event of the year. Helena, nice to see you again. I was just about to say, we do love to see where you're logging on from. Obviously, we are now a global community from 139 countries. So pop in the chat where you're logging on from. We'd love to see. So this is our first virtual event of the year, all about industry challenges for 2026 and how leaders should prepare. I have the great privilege to be joined by Melanie, who we will be introducing shortly. But as a quick overview, this is how this session is going to go. We will divide the interview into two parts. The first looking at industry challenges, with the second half focused on how leaders can really prepare. And then the session will close with the amazing speed networking that we offer, where attendees are matched for one-to-one video calls. So be sure to stay tuned and join us for the networking after this half-an-hour interview. Before I kick off, though, and Melanie truly introduces herself, for those of you that don't know her, she's an absolute superstar. She's been an integral part of the community for a number of years, as well as a co-author of our book. And she opened up our European Summit in Stuttgart last year with an incredible speech that left most of us speechless. So we wanted to share a quick preview with you. We're just going to play the first minute and then we'll pop in the chat the full speech for people to watch in their own times. But for now, without further ado, this is Melanie speaking at our European Summit last October.
We are living in turbulent times. So the global political landscape is showing us every day how achievements that we once thought are secure can come under threat. If you look to the US, you will figure out that suddenly it's not allowed anymore to build up programs that are female dedicated. And if you look to Germany and you look to the inner circle of our government, you will recognize that this is highly male-dominated. There's only less females around. I personally feel we are stepping backwards. So the moment of diversity is what would be needed now, but it's not there. For us, we can see it as a challenge and as a wake-up call. Women's rights are not set in stone. They have to be defended, they have to be strengthened, and we should even grow them.
Wow. Thank you so much, Melanie. So I cannot wait to have this interview with you and hear your thoughts all about 2026. But first of all, Melanie Schuttenberg, please, will you introduce yourself to the community?
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you as well for giving me another chance here to be on stage with you, which is absolutely amazing every time. And, you know, I love the network that you and the team set up. So I'm absolutely happy. So my name is Melanie Schuttenberg, and I'm in the automotive industry since over 25 years. I've been to different companies like TRW, which is now at ZF. I've been with Magna Steyr. I've been with Flex, and throughout of those companies as well to different roles. So starting from being in the sales department, I was responsible for all product, and I was leading Europe for automotive in electrification and in computing. So completely diverse roles that I've been into. Today, I'm a member of the board at Tajco, which is as well an automotive supplier headquartered in Denmark, but delivering globally. So absolutely happy to be here today.
Amazing. Likewise, I'm very excited for this conversation to hear your thoughts on the industry challenges and opportunities, hopefully, for 2026 and how leaders can prepare. Any questions throughout, please feel free, audience, to pop it in the chat and I will ask Melanie at the most suitable time. But for now, Melanie, hit me. What are the biggest challenges the automotive industry is going to face in 2026, in your opinion?
Yeah. So of course, I will answer that with a more European colored version, right, from my background. So I'm based in Europe. That's why I'm most familiar with this. So I would split that into two different headlines. For me, there's the technology things and the things that's going on around the world. And to be honest, none of the headlines is really super new. They might have already occurred in 2025, but in 2026, a lot of that become more intense. And for me, at least sitting in Europe, it becomes more closer. So talking about the different headlines, what comes to my mind is for sure what's going to happen with the EV cars, what's the e-car strategy. It is about chip shortages again. It is about China competition, and that is the cars that we have as an import here from China that we are selling, but as well the European automotive makers, car makers, and as well the US guys selling their cars into China is another issue. So both
Yeah.
are hitting on the pricing topic. It is about rare earth materials, things that are suddenly being more louder. So this is all the different headlines that I see, and then the tariffs, of course, not to mention that.
Yeah, not to mention, definitely, that's really interesting that you've just mentioned that. You always think about the Chinese competition as being a one-way infiltration, let alone obviously the brands losing their market share in those markets as well. Okay, so let's talk electrification, shall we? First of all, is it still the future?
Yeah, so let me answer at first to pick people up. So the European Parliament did really sign a regulation that would have had stop banned the sale of combustion engine beyond 2035.
Yeah.
But last December, they revised that. So from an originally planned 100% reduction of a CO2 emission, they now referred more to a 90%. And that is now as well allowing still to sell combustion engine by using sustainable fuels beyond 2035. So for me, I would say yes, for sure, the e-cars are going to be part of the short-term to mid-term future. And they will be guided by hydrogen, and there might be completely new technologies that I'm not aware of yet, which are coming down on the long-term future path. That's how I see it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So the future, in your opinion, is electric, but is it European made? Let's have a look again at China. Can we compete?
Yeah. So if it comes to e-cars in China, the price gap is up to 30 to 40%. That is huge. To be honest, what you should not do is just leave everything as is, so operations and the automotive design, and just try to optimize a little bit here and there, and you nibble and whatever. Here you're going to get away with maybe 10% what you find as a reduction potential. I think you should take a really completely different approach, something like a target pricing model. There are companies like we know best since we're small, IKEA. So they said at first, I want to do a chair, and the chair should only cost 20 euros. For sure, it's not comparable with a car, but it's the same mentality that you might take use of. You have a target that is far away, so you have to do things in a completely different way. And different way means you have to redesign the vehicle architecture. So less ECUs, centralized computing, gigacasting, modular platforms. You have to think about localization as well for batteries, electronics, other key components. And you for sure have to increase your automation grades, including AI and things that are going on. So that's the first thing everyone has to consider when you really want to compete with a like car. The second is the topic in everyone's mouth is China speed. For me, China's speed is the speed of developing a car, but on the other side, it's the decision cycles that we need. So you can really adjust the timing of the development of a car. Meanwhile, if you look to all the great AI solutions that you find within the development process for replacing validation, things like that, this is what you need to do. And in addition, I think we should go again to the book of requirement and see what need to be there, what is where we can make a compromise. And I'm not talking about safety for sure. So on decision speed, as a German, I'm really familiar with bureaucracy, and we have too much of that. So others can do decision way faster, and we always like to figure it out over the time. That doesn't work anymore. And then if you did 1 and 2, and you still might end up at the same level of pricing, you still can lean into something like a rebranding. I think we have been the first ones to bring an e-car on the road. So we have a longer time experience in these matters. And this is what you can bring on the agenda and on your rebranding. So there are things like a trusted brands and safety leadership, or you can do like software reliability and cybersecurity. This is what we have to position ourselves with. And then number 4, this is the most complicated and sticky one, I would say. This is about the government. So I'm a child of a free market regulating itself, no question, here in the Western. But if you see how other countries are doing it, and where the industry and the government is line on line, and maybe even the government gives the direction, they don't lose time. They get to high speed way more than we. And if we are forced with such a power, then we are really lacking off with coming up to speed on our end. So therefore, I think what is going to be necessary is something like a gremium sitting together between politics, energy people, automotive people, and they should set something like new standards, but in a way faster time than what is happening now. That's a bit my idea that I would love to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all spoken about this, haven't we? The European, or let's call it the legacy brands, have so many tiers to the decision-making process. So how can we really adapt and compete? Susan's got a couple of questions in the chat. Before we move on to kind of point number 4, I just want to dig deep and ask you. So in terms of redesigning the cost business, and in her experience, China's speed means not doing everything. So
Yes.
would you mind elaborating
Yeah.
on that?
So China's speed, to be honest with China's speed, is that they can bring up a car on the road within 1.5 years, right? While we take in 2.5 years. So if you want to reduce that, you have to do things differently. And validation results that you get out of AI is something that you can really make use. Yes, and of course, when I said the first point was reducing the ECUs in a car, that as well mean downsizing from the entire number of products in a car as well. That would help. I totally agree. This is what I understood from the question.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully, if not, we can connect you both after to continue the conversation. So the next biggest challenge, neither of us are an expert in this, but it keeps coming up in my research calls, and it's something that we can't ignore, about the entire ecosystem now working together. So we've touched on the sustainability side of things, the energy with the charging infrastructure. Let's have a look at rare earth materials and alternatives. What does this mean for the automotive industry?
Yeah. So as well, let me answer that at first from a Europe perspective. This is where I feel the biggest need. So Europe did sign the Critical Raw Material Act. And the content of that is to find a more sustainable way to deal with lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth materials. And the commitment from Europe here was even to out of the total need, what they would need for Europe, they want to mine and extract 10% out of Europe. So actually, this is already happening in Portugal, Spain, and Czech Republic. But keep in mind, this is only 10%. So the other 90% is the bigger problem. And this is what still need to be sourced from US or China or wherever. So that's the bigger issue. So the focus must be here. And the only solution that I can think of is you have to develop alternates for this one. So we already started with that, right? A couple of years back in the battery section, there has been a replacement for cobalt. I cannot really comment on the technical performance or whatever, so don't ask me details about that one. But of course, there has been already research started, and now in the section, if it comes to magnets, that is where it's needed at the moment, is the rare earth materials. What I've been made aware of, there's already research started in iron-based materials. So I think being 90% threat in Europe, there has to be more, and we have to have more investment into this direction to not be that dependent. We should come back to stand on our own feet, and that one needs more focus.
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully in the upcoming months, we can have a look at the entire supply chain a little bit more, and obviously the importance of cross-industry collaboration and new partnerships and new revenues and new pools and everything to do with this. So the next theme, shall we say, seems a bit like a deja vu, you know. Back to chip shortages. The industry moves at a phenomenal rate. We're always playing catch up. And now we can't escape the three letters SDVs. So, in reality, what's happening and what does this mean for the industry and for leaders?
Yeah. So the end customers suddenly see all of, when we're talking about SDVs, they see that new tool, Gen AI chatbots occurring in the cars, which is exciting. And it started at the more luxury, and then it goes to the mid segment. So that's fantastic. But the problem is going to need memory. So, and therefore needing that DRAM memories, that amount will increase over the time. It has already increased, and it will go on for sure. So that's an issue, because there's someone else on the market who needs those, even desperately. And this is when you build up data AI centers. Here you need the same DRAM chipsets. I'm sorry. So it's easy to mix up with, right? So that is really the issue, because those guys need more, and they might be even paying a little bit more. So you move downwards on the priority list on guys like Samsung or Micron, who's dealing with DRAMs. And that is really an issue, because for the automotive industry, I would expect maybe again price increases and constraints in the delivery of those.
Mm-hmm.
And if
And then it
that was
goes
not
back
only, yeah,
to
and then
point
if,
two, where we're trying to reduce the costing and the pricing and everything.
yeah, so, and then if that wouldn't be enough, the issue is, because of needing that more memory for more AI, the complete technology will be redefined by the high bandwidth memories that's going to be in development. And that should happen by 2028, because you need to process more of that memory. And that really makes it then critical, because the whole automotive designs have to be reinvented for that point of time as well. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you will be left first with the technology behind, and second, you're forced to live from the chipsets from the still old generation by that time, and they will become constrained and more expensive. So there's no way around it, I would see from my behalf.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, community, we hosted a poll already on LinkedIn. We wanted to follow it up now. In your experience, what do you think are the biggest challenges for 2026? We've put the poll in the chats, but obviously, if you think there's other challenges that you'd like to hear us discussed in more interviews or covered in any of the event agendas, pop it in the comments, and we will have a look at those considerations. But now let's have a quick look at the global outlook. Is 2026 going to differ to 2025?
Yeah, in a way, it gets more intense. So the thing is, what won't go away, not for this year and not for the next years, is a volatile demand. And it doesn't matter if it's driven by EV or chipset or whatever. So volatile demand will stay for everyone. That means companies will have to get used, they must find a solution to deal with uncertainties. And that's an issue. And then the geopolitics around the globe, the tension got up. Is no matter where you look at, you have things going on that we would not imagine could have happened maybe three years ago. So, and we don't know how the world looks like in 5 years from now. Maybe things will change. That leads to, you might have set a strategy about operations and where you localize and how you provide logistics and where do you source. But you need a backup plan, and maybe you need to revise that one as well in a quarter from now, because things are moving. Nothing is secure, and it will stay like that, I feel, for a time being. And then you have the new dependencies, like we talked about it. Yeah, you have the battery, the raw earth material, the chipsets. So that these are as well become geopolitics. And then for sure, like I said, the tariff discussion is not done. So the new normal is unpredictable. And the problem is, this is where you have to set your company's strategy and execute along that. You have to set up a plan that is answering a question of unpredictiveness. And the one who is really doing that best is going to be the winner of all of this. That's the poor truth.
Plan for all. Not an easy task at all. Okay, so those individuals at the top who need to have this flexibility, this strategic, long vision, where can they focus their time, their attention, and their priorities do you think this year?
So, given all of that, which is a lot, to be honest, and there is no one who is super experienced in that, I think there are three things where you should focus on today. And it doesn't matter which company you are in. So there's a huge shift from a single product logic towards a system logic. That means you have to reduce your portfolio to a small number of global vehicle and software platforms. You have to decouple hardware from software from services to stack the right solution together that you would need. You would focus for sure on a future growth domain, otherwise, you're not part of the future. So that's the one thing. The second thing is, if it comes to software, data, or electronics, you have to set that as a strategic core. What I mean is, this must be driven by your executive leadership team. This is not something that you're going to delegate down and then the experts are going to work it out. This is bundling up, this is tying everything together. That should impact your organization holistically. And then with that, you would need to go for a global talent strategy, where to get those ones, and you need to do partnerships with the new guys like AI industry, cloud, chipset. So those are good. And then the point number three is something which I think everyone will find uncomfortable. But this is just an idea of a mindset that you can develop. You rather think about reinvent your organization than just to restructure it. What I mean is, if you take a white sheet of paper and you would draw the company that your organization would have to look today, this is what you should consider. What you should not do is, again, what I repeated first, try to nibble left and right and try to get everything like it is with the persons that are in and the individuals that are in, and to do something great and new, innovative out of this. Make that new sheet, make that clean sheet, and draw what you need. And then still go step by step. Don't do it once. Maybe you won't be able to do that. But you have to have the right mindset of how should it look like. The biggest transformation on this earth did fail, not because of having the right strategy together, but because of not having the right speed, the right skill sets, and the right culture. So they more or less ignored the existing culture of a company. So therefore, keep an eye on, implement fast decision cycles, go for external talents. I know companies are setting off thousands of employees, but don't think you have all what you need already on board in your company. That wouldn't work out well. So go for external talents. You will need them. And I can give a great example in a second for that. I have a great new example from a company who did that very well. And then communicate positiveness. Let me at first go to that one example. So I've been attending to a Cyber Valley event, and there was a company, Male, which is as well as Stuttgart company, and there was a guy who's leading the AI department. And they said they were struggling with bringing that new innovation speed and knowledge right to the existing departments. So what they have done is they took someone of the company of that department, who is super experienced, maybe 20 years within the development department, and they mixed that as a twin set with some of the really new AI technology geeks. And for the first days, that was high friction. But that gets softened as soon as the experienced guy learned how fast an AI tool can come to the results much earlier and be faster in time and less cost spending. So that is when everything went well, and both are greatly working together for the future. So I think it's a holistic approach what they've chosen. I loved it so much.
I
For
think
the yeah,
it's
you go.
amazing,
Sorry.
isn't it? No, and it also goes back to that reverse mentoring side of things. You know, the external hires whilst looking after your current
Yeah,
team, but you've got to be constantly learning and developing and improving yourself. And it's a constant two-way exchange of knowledge, you know, between different teams, between hierarchies, between companies. Yeah, it's a new world, definitely.
absolutely, and I love the approach. It's just holistic. Um, so what I wanted to close for the thing is on communicating positiveness. So you have to think all your employees watch the same news that you do. And when you hear automotive is never good news these days. It's always about layoffs, set of people, insolvency, closing this plant, whatever. This is all negative what you read and hear, and they read it too. To get them more motivated, to get them positive, what I think you need to do is to create your vision, introduce it, tell them it might look differently in a quarter from now, but not because you failed, but because you're the most flexible company ever. And that's going to be saving your future. And you should mean what I say. So um, be flexible and introduce that vision and how it can differ over the time and what's going to be driving it. And then repeat it, constantly repeating it. Don't think you can come back after 6 months and that's it. No, do it constantly. That's really important. And the last point to mention here, what I've seen developed over the past 4 years intensely is micromanagement. And thinking about that, especially here in Europe, we really need innovation. We need that. We need that to be grown again. We have been there already, but we need that again. So if you now have leaders who only go for micromanaging, this is like you tell them, this is the target, this is the weapon that you're going to use the tool that you're going to use, this is how you use it, this is the angle from where you use it. Where should be the freedom of integrating all that new stuff which you may be not aware of? So I would say this is the real time to step back from micromanaging and more to give accountability and budgeting back to the people and let the experts really use what they learned about to use.
Cool. I mean, I would not like to be in those shoes with all of the cost cutting and those decision making. Um, oh, yeah, definitely tough. Melanie, I've been in the automotive industry only a few years, and every single year, you know, there's a new challenge. So I do think what you've mentioned about staying positive, it truly resonates with me. You have to love what you do, and you have to keep positive within this industry. But you also mentioned something else in our prep call, which I really think, you know, hit home as well. Steve Jobs' quote. Do you remember
Yeah,
what you
right.
told me?
So what I and I like him saying that. So Steve Jobs once said, "Look, I don't hire people to tell them what to do. I hire experts to tell me what to do." And I think this is really 100% in line with not to micromanage too much because you can't be the expert in everything. Let them, the experts, really do their thing.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously, one of the things about a true leader is, you lead your team, you recognize where their talents are, and also you bring up future leaders. You don't bring up future followers, do you? So we're going to put a new poll live. If you have a look on the right-hand side in the polls, and it's, in your experience or in your perspectives, what do you think the future leaders should focus on? But we're running out of time, and I know people are here to network with each other. So I'm going to ask you two things quickly, Melanie, to close. What do you think market leaders will look like? Dun, dun, dun.
So I think they must be orchestra a whole ecosystem. Communicate. AI is great, but now it comes to the human skill set. I think they should build alliances and work with platform partners.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate everything. Quick question here, and I'm not sure if you can answer it or if Monica, we need to connect afterwards. The question is, what assumptions about e-mobility do you think the automotive industry might be wrong about today?
The wrong assumptions. So I think it's exactly going back a little bit to that government stuff. So the thing is, we let Europe discuss and seeing how the customers working out on their own. But then on the other hand, they didn't have been provided with the right infrastructure. And then there was, as well in other countries, you see there were more like funding of getting an e-car, things like, so it wasn't aligned. It could have looked completely differently, and I think they would have had more customers available at the end. I think that was something that was not well done and misunderstood, or however you want it.
And it also ties back to what you've just mentioned, communication,
Yeah.
alliances, on the right platform, doesn't it? Okay, so Melanie, any closing words for the audience about 2026 and how leaders should prepare?
Yeah. So I think 2026 is not a year of perfection. It is a year of positioning.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that, and I hope the audience did as well. So thank you very much on behalf of the Women Automotive Network and all of your amazing followers. Thank you, everyone that's logged in live. For those of you that are watching on demand, this bit's not relevant. But for those of you that are here today, if you see on the left-hand side, there's a button that says networking with the red now. We invite you all to continue the networking. It's speed networking. So you'll be matched randomly with other attendees for 3 to 5 minute video calls. If you like the connection, you can exchange contact details. If it's not right for you, just obviously politely say, shall we skip and move on to the next person. But for now, community, thank you. Enjoy the rest of January. Good luck for 2026. And we'll see you in the Speed Networking in a moment. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.